believe that if we lower the standards for what it takes to become a doctor.
But you're saying if we lower the standards,
Yes.
but do you believe people are dying because the standards are being lowered?
I don't
Or have
think
been
that
lowered?
is yet an issue, but it could become an issue.
Okay. But the actual evidence in history shows the exact opposite. If you look at how minorities are treated by the medical system,
Oh,
most doctors now are white. And there are lots of mistakes in medicine. So you're saying that white doctors have bad medical care? I'm trying to understand your logic here when it comes to DEI, because there's no actual evidence of what you're saying.
No, I said, so if the standards, like let's say, I think that particular thing was referring to surgeons. Let's say a surgeon is asked to, a surgeon in training is asked to do a series of operations under the supervision of a senior surgeon, and they get a bunch of those operations wrong. If that happens, and yet they are still approved to be a surgeon, the probability that someone will die, I think, at some point is high.
Okay, I understand that, but that's a hypothetical. That doesn't mean it's happening.
I didn't say it's happening.
You didn't say it was happening.
I said it will. I said if we lower standards, people will die.
But why respond to something or put something out there that has not happened? Because I could say,
Because I don't want it to happen. I think we don't want to lower standards.
Wow, and this guy's considered a serious journalist. He literally just asked why anyone would think of potential future scenarios. Absolutely brilliant, Don. Just because Don doesn't understand that actions actually do have consequences and different actions will yield different results, doesn't mean the rest of the world should be following this deranged logic and reasoning. But that's what DEI does. The ideology behind DEI doesn't allow for it to be questioned. I mean, you do believe in equal opportunity, don't you? However, we've gone beyond equal opportunity. So far beyond that those participating in the mainstream cult are now back to judging someone based on their skin color and not the content of their character or pertinent qualifications. Joining us now to weigh in, Director at the Coalition for Empowered Education, Dr. Tabia Lee. Thank you so much for being with us, Lee. It's great to have you on the show.
Thank you, Alison.
Well, I'm curious to know, what are your thoughts on Don Lemon's comments regarding diversity, equity, and inclusion and having a quota for certain physical attributes? I mean, competence should have nothing to do with race, and I thought we were past this. Why is this such an obsession with the West?
Well, Alison, I would say this comes back to, the critical social justice ideology that Don was speaking from. And it's an ideology that doesn't care about merit, competency, or qualifications. And when we're talking about the medical profession or the teaching profession or any helping profession where lives are at stake, we need the most highly qualified, competent individuals in those positions. And it's just, it's amazing to me that Don couldn't understand Elon's logic and why he would want the very best, most qualified people selected on basis of merit, not on their identity check boxes, which have nothing to do with skills-based professions.
Yeah, it is really shocking to see this viewpoint be paraded around. I'm not sure how anyone really can be on board with it, but it is amazing to see it nonetheless. Now, continuing on with this conversation, Advil has launched something called the Advil Equity Project, which is, quote, a long-term commitment to champion equitable and accessible pain relief. I want to show a quick clip from a promotional video from this one. Let's take a look at that, and then we'll come back to discuss.
When I approach a medical professional, I'm frustrated that we have to validate our pain just to get treated like human beings.
The healing of the body was easy for me. It's the psychological part. It's awful.
I should not have to beg my doctor to run tests or ask them to take another look.
Systemic pain in healthcare is Is this really a real issue? I mean, what do you make of this new campaign from Advil?
When I took a look at the study from Morehouse College that was used to, advance this whole initiative, only 2,000 people were surveyed. And the questions that they were asked were about their feelings, about how they feel, their pain is perceived. And it was hardly a representative sample. And I think anytime, Allison, we see that word equity anywhere, we need to start asking questions because it's a critical social justice foil. It's used to advance their aims that continue to divide us and have us try to view each other through these race and gender identity checkboxes. And it's preposterous.
Yeah.
And it's based on research that's not even rigorous or valid or representative. And then they try to make these claims about whole groups of people based on these non-representative samples and a few stories, subjective stories that they've added in. It's saddening to see even large companies getting on this bandwagon and doing things that aren't based on rigorous medical research.
Yeah, it is very sad indeed. And I guess not too shocking, though, that it is all, again, as you pointed out, based on feelings, right? That's what the whole DEI push is all based around, and it's really very sad. We know a part of DEI is lowering standards, which doesn't make any sense if you're trying to set up a nation or even a state or a city, for that matter, for prosperity. I mean, we went from rewarding high achievers to now just lowering the bar so as not to hurt any feelings. And there are numerous detrimental effects of this. Talk to us more about some of the psychological issues that we face here when we enforce this DEI nonsense.
This toxic form of DEI, this critical social justice infused DEI, it's a big part of the problem, Allison. I mean, when we're starting to tell people that they are victims and oppressors and that, their race and gender identity checkboxes matter and this whole construct of intersectionality, which is unproven, but many people are holding up as truth. There's a lot of miseducation happening and disinformation as a result of it. And to answer your question, Allison, about, how are we trying to make innovators? We're not. If we're taking a critical social justice approach, the purpose is anti-American, anti-capitalist, anti-Semitic, anti-imperialist, anti-racist. It's anti all things that America stands for. Mm-hmm. And so when we embrace those kinds of things like equity and, the critical social justice ideology, we're embracing our own destruction. And that's why many of us are standing up and we're saying enough is enough. Let's get back to our basic values of classical social justice. Equality of opportunity is important. Equality of outcomes? No, that's not a goal that America should be aiming for as the leader of the world.
No, it's not. And it's funny because it's all the things that they claim that we are. Actually, it's them, in reality, them pushing this evil, sinister agenda onto, the unsuspecting masses who I don't think, a lot of them have connected the dots yet. So sadly, many people are falling victim to this. But it's not just, the healthcare issue we're talking about now. It's not just the plane issue that we've seen happen in the recent weeks. Apparently, DEI is now infecting the police departments over in Nashville. Apparently, they've lowered their fitness requirements in an effort to get more women on the force. I have a video clip of that. Let's check that out, and then we'll come right back.
This is the chain link fence climb. For this test, you're to run up to the fence, scale the fence, and continue running to the finish line. The test may be administered twice with at least a 2-minute rest period between administrations. Your fastest time will be used as your score. Solid wall climb. For this test, you're to run up to the wall, scale the wall, and continue running to the finish line.
Wow. I mean, are these the types of people that we want on our police forces? If they can't even pass the standard test, we're making the test easier for them. Can we really be assured that we're going to have people fit for the job?
It's sad, Allison. We went from these people, these critical social ideologues, calling for us to defund the police, Now that they weren't successful at that and communities said, no, we don't want that, now they're going to lower the standards to become police officers. And that's just ridiculous. There are certain physical requirements that a law enforcement agent needs to have, regardless of their sex, whether they're male or female. And those standards are the same for all. And they should be for the safety and well-being of the communities that those officers serve. And these are just basic objective facts that people who mellow and wallow in subjectivity and this idea of trying to force equity on America as a nation, they simply cannot understand that. So they seek to destroy and undermine and subvert wherever they can. And hopefully those of us who've seen what they've tried to do at law enforcement will push back and say, absolutely not. Our community is not going to accept that.
Absolutely. And I love your point. You know, if you ever at any point were in favor of defunding the police, probably not the best idea to now join law enforcement. It's just hilarious. You can't even write these jokes. They're so funny. Lee, thank you so much for joining us to weigh in today. I really appreciate your time and insight.
Thank you.
For all our viewers asking where One America News is heading in the future, we would like to introduce you to OAN Live. OAN Live is the best way to stay up to date on all of the hard-hitting, straight-shooting, national and international headlines. And the best part is, OAN Live is only $4.99 per month. All the credible, honest, unbiased reporting One America News offers at a fraction of the cost of cable. Just go to OANN.com to easily sign up for OAN Live and stay informed.